Hello active traders, and welcome to Trading Confidence, Strategies for Active Traders. This is Ken Calhoun, your host. I'm president of the Daytrading University, TradeMastery.com, StockTradingSuccess.com with my colleague Steve Nissen, and many other sites for active traders. Are you ready? Judging from the comments, we got hundreds, over 160 comments from traders worldwide on this particular topic, and thanks to all of you for posting those. Some really good insights and really good questions, smart questions, and things that we share in common as traders when it comes to trading confidently. Now, tonight's not going to be some, cheerleading rah-rah session or some useless platitudes. I want to, give you a real working trader's perspective on those specific things you can start doing to hopefully turn the corner in terms of your trading confidence. Tonight's a preview event. I will be offering extended training after this, but I'll give you plenty of good actionable tips tonight during the next 40 minutes that we have together. So let's go ahead and strap in and get ready. As always, all information is for educational or information use only. So my goal, first of all, I want to thank you all for posting. I appreciate all the feedback. I want to look at some specific confidence boosting tips in tonight's event, how to focus on taking action correctly as a trader. Next time you're up to bat, you're considering pulling the trigger on a trade, how do you do that? We want to give you very practical, brief, focused, specific, hands-on, step-by-step strategies that you can start using instantly. So if you've ever had one of those days not going so well for you as a trader, we've all had them. If you've been trading longer than a day or two, we've all had those bad days. My goal is to hopefully help turn it around for you, put a smile on your face with some professional tactics from a real trading industry pro as we get started. Our goals for tonight's webinar are as follows. How to build trading confidence. You'll also learn tips for taking action using very focused strategies. How to avoid hesitating and missing out on good trades. Fearless trading with step-by-step entries and Q&A with me. Feel free to ask questions. At least one question per person is fine. With so many traders here, that's kind of the limit. But feel free to ask questions as we go through tonight's event as well. To put things in context, here is our market. I called the market top in my equities.com article and told everybody to sell on May 21st or tighten in trailing stops, and that was exactly the right pivot call. We had a bearish engulfing, a sell-off, kind of a hammer here, a shooting star there and a hammer there. If we look at the Dow Jones, we do have a shooting star at the top. Again, for more on candlesticks, learn from my colleague Steve Nissen. His stuff works, right? Anyway, the hammers here, pivots, shooting star, hammer here at a 50 MA, and that's one of my favorite pivot signals, is a hammer pattern at a major moving average like a 50 MA. So I'm just putting this all in context as our Dow Jones broke under the 15,000 and our S&P similarly breaking right near the key 1600 support line. So in this kind of a market, hopefully you've been trading correctly to the upside, whether you're trading things like Disney on its recent run up, or this stock O on its run up and then subsequent sell off and bounce off the MA. Or if you were trading things, like I'd been advising traders for the longest time with the dollar yen during its recent meteoric run up, coming up off its lows near the mid-70s all the way up to over parity, over the 100, breaking out to a top near the 103 before pulling back. Anyway, good opportunities, missed opportunities can be really frustrating. There's nothing more frustrating than missing out on winning trades. And so my goal for you for tonight is to give you some very specific strategies. I put a lot of work into preparing for tonight's event. So let's take notes, shall we? Here's one of the first concepts I want to launch. And as Tony Robbins, who I'm a big fan, would say, it's not enough to have positive thinking, you have to have strategy. And when it comes to trading, I like to tell traders, you really need to focus on which strategies actually work best. Tie those into or look for linkages between which strategies, like any of my published 2-day high breakout continuations or tape reading or other ADX or professional scaling strategies. Make sure that you're learning the strategies that work from the top out there and tie those into your strengths and figure out, do a personal skills assessment or, what are you best at as a trader? Are you really good at scanning? Are you good at entering? Are you good at exiting? Are you not good at any of those? Which one needs, where's the missing link? Which one do you need the best help with? And by the way, a lot of it's trade management when it comes to scaling in and out and keeping small stops. And secondarily would be scanning for what's worth trading in the first place. Working with thousands of traders, those are the two areas for improvement I found. Getting the entries and exits right falls into place, and you build much better trading confidence once you know exactly what strategies work. And finally, having action, the confidence to take action to trade better. So you're not going to get there unless it builds on a foundation of solid trading strategies. You don't want to rely upon these stupid vendor software plugins or proprietary indicators. Use simple price action, use candlesticks as taught by Steve Nissen, use Western technical professionals as taught by myself. You trade Forex, learn from my colleagues, Peter Bain and the guys at Forex Mentor, and Kathy and Boris are good too. But learn strategies from the best people out there. Now let's take a look at confidence building tips. I've got quite a few tips here, a lot of good writer-downers, and again, you will be getting the complete video of this, so you don't have to worry about frantically writing down notes. I want you to pay attention and rate yourself on each of these on a 1 to 10 scale as I go through these. How good are you at doing these? And if you're not doing some of these things, which I suspect some of you aren't, I would strongly encourage you doing it. Okay, I've traded millions of dollars worth of stuff. I know how to trade, but I want to share with you at least what I do in my own process. So building confidence, it starts with very specific goals, and you don't want to spend much time on this stuff. The trick is, until you get to be a scratch trader, kind of like scratch golfer, a break-even trader, until you turn the corner, you need to keep track of this stuff very carefully. Once you start making some money as a trader, you just kind of sample or audit your performance now and then. But at least keep track of the percentage of time that you keep tight stops. That should be 100% ideally, but I realize in the heat of battle sometimes you let things go a little further than you should against you. But what's the percentage of time you keep tight stops? And what's the number of trades you took? You can use percentage too, but what's the net number of trades you take each week that meets your specific trading plan or your specific criteria? For example, I don't like trading unless the S&P or the spiders, if I'm, from my live room, I like shorting 2-day low breakdowns under support or buying 2-day high breakouts on outrange trading days. However, I do not like trading inside range choppy charts. I always prefer these nice 2-day moves, even though I nailed the long for my traders this morning in First Solar. But the point being, we like 2-day highs on new continuations above previous day's high. What's the percentage of time you avoid a false breakout and you nail the win? Or whatever combination of professional entry criteria you personally use. I just gave you mine kind of in a nutshell, but you can see my industry articles for more. Okay, one of the things that's new, and I've never discussed this before, what I want you guys to start doing is do what I call making a wall of winning trades. And again, this is all copyrighted me and on video, and it'll be on YouTube, so all my competitors who've logged in, copy it, and you'll get a cease and desist from one of my IP attorneys. Anyway, because I'm widely copied, and it pisses me off. I'm widely ripped off by people in the industry, whether it's my industry or my university or Mastery Concepts or others. Anyway, here's what you guys do. Make a wall of winning trades. One of my colleagues on CNBC told me, get used to it, get over it. It's when you're well-known, you always get copied. This kind of par for the course. Anyway, make a wall of winning trades. What I want you to do is dedicate at least a part of a adjacent wall to where you are documenting, and in this one, this is not charts. I've got a charts activity coming up. This one is all about the money, and what I want you to do is, like what I've done kind of virtually on my Trading Talk forum, but with actual real screen caps of actual real trades, what I want you to do is print out examples of your winning trades. And again, this is all designed to carefully build confidence. Like even if it's only 150 bucks, so what? It all adds up, right? Or it's 250 bucks, or you take stops of 150 bucks. Whatever you're doing as a trader, I want you to document at least some of the winning days, or maybe you have an $850 day like I did here. Yeah, print out some of these things and put them on a wall. And again, don't make it a big, 6-foot or 10-foot square. Make it, say, 4 feet square, but print out your P&Ls of your most recent, say, 3 months worth of winning trades that you've had. And that's a visual anchor. In neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, we'd call that an anchor. And one of the things you want is a visual reminder of success. So you want to have some kind of wall of winning trades to build your confidence. It's really important. I'm a huge fan of visual management. When I used to be a consultant for Fortune 500 companies, I'd have them make flow charts and do visual, diagrams on the walls of the companies, and made a huge impact because people could see instantly what was going on. Anyways, I used to work with Ford Motor Company, Rockwell, Chevron, Sheraton, McDonnell Douglas, a lot of big companies hired me. And one of the things that I like to do is foster putting visual management into the companies on the wall so that we see what's going on in our company. Well, as a trader, what I want you to do similarly is to put up a wall of winning trade P&Ls, to be more specific, I guess, but I just call it a wall of winning trades. And make sure that you've got that as a visual reminder that you are capable of making winning trades. Now, of course, that assumes that you do make some winning trades. If you just lose all the time, maybe trading's not for you there, Sparky. But for the rest of you out there, even if you're only right 20% of the time or 10% of the time, at least hang on to that. That's a beacon. That's some kind of hope that you do have it in you to make winning trades. And the better you get as a trader, maybe those initial trades are more kind of dumb luck than anything, but as you get better as a trader, the goal is to sharpen up your trading skills to where you have a systematic, well-defined process where you're generating more winning trades and getting a series of slight edges to help boost your trading success. So make sure you put that as a visual anchor. Another thing that I want you to start doing, and this gives you confidence to trade, or at least it always does for me, resolve to never take stops larger than a specific dollar amount. Don't use loosey-goosey, well, let's see, there's a MACD crossover and a horizontal support line, I don't know, way down here. So I won't take a stop on a swing trade unless it gets down here because that's support. No, it's all about the money, okay? It always has been. Make sure that, as you're trading, and this is one thing I do in my own accounts, is you're looking to, trying to find a IB screen cap. Well, you're looking at your unrealized P&L and you're managing your trading success or not based on that. And one of the things you want to start doing is use that as a visual confidence building tool. And again, here's a good example of, I made $660 the hard way. I don't know how many trades this is. Most of them were stops, but most of them were real small stops. None of the stops was over $41. That was a major stop, but most of them were down in $8 to $10 or $15 stops. Similarly, in your own trades, what I want you to start doing is write, what's your number? If you ever see me in live, I'm speaking at the Vegas Traders Expo this November, and you may see me in various industry events. Getting a lot of invitations lately. I have to decide which ones to accept, but one of the things that I will always ask you is, what's your number? What's the maximum heat or pain you're going to take as a trader? And if you don't have a number, it's kind of like a smart business owner. We know our cost of lead acquisition, we know our conversion ratios, we know our upsell funnels, we know the numbers in terms of exactly what we're able to do in our businesses. Any smart small business owner knows that. You know your cost, your income, the difference, growth products versus products that aren't doing so well, things that are launching with bigger success than ever, and how to amplify on that. Anyway, as a trader, you similarly need to know your numbers. So what is the maximum stop loss cost that you're going to take as a trader, and make sure that you resolve. So for example, in my own day trades, I don't want any more than $50 pain in a day trade, which means I'm starting off my day trade small, 100 shares or less, and then I may scale up into as many as 1,000 shares, but I started off real small ball, and then I scale up. Swing trades, I don't want to take more than $150, $200 heat. Maximum is $200 heat, or stop loss cost on any swing trade. And the vast majority of my swings are much lower than that, as you've seen from the hundreds of trade examples I posted. Anyway, make sure that you resolve from now on to keep a fixed dollar cost stop, and that will help build confidence because you don't have this big void, this big unknown risk that's infinite. My, whatever, $80,000 trading account could go down to $5,000 if I made a stupid bad trade. Don't do that. Make sure you've got a very specific dollar figure. Now, when it comes to success, let's move on. I've got a lot more strategies to cover and running low on time here. And plenty of, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's move into it. Visual success cues. And this is a technique that I want to share with you. One of the things that I want you to do in addition to your P&Ls is post examples of your most recent 3 winning trades with charts, and preferably a note in terms of why you entered, why you exited the trade, and what the dollar cost win or the dollar profit win was in that trade near your computer or Mac or whatever computing workstation you're using. So in addition to, say, one part of a adjacent wall where you have, say, the last 3 months of winning trade P&Ls, and that's just text, right? It's all, looks a lot like this, right? Where you've got, examples of, you just cut and paste these things. You can print them off out of your browser or whatever you want, but make sure that you're printing and keeping track of, what kind of trades you're doing. Another visual success cue is make sure that you've got the most recent, say 3. And the reason I say 3 is I want you to make it dynamic. And this is a good added thing I've never covered before, ever. And it's a good strategy. You want to keep it fresh. You don't want to have 3 winning charts from, 1998 or something. It's like, okay, that was nice, but let's move on. So what were the most recent? You're only as good as your most recent trade performance. So what was your most recent 3 winning trades you made, say, this past week or the past month or whatever time interval makes sense, or the past 6 hours of your day trading, okay? Anyway, what's the most recent 3 winning trades, and update those regularly. Another technique is to visually map out your trading process with a flow chart. I won't spend a lot of time on that, other than to note I've had, I don't know if we're over 10,000 downloads yet, but it's done extremely well. The flow chart that I've shared with many thousands of you, I'm not going to spend much time on it, but create a visual flow chart map and start using that step by step to document your trading process. That will build confidence, because once you understand where your bottlenecks are, your constraints, and also where your profit opportunities are, and where you're doing best, what's the one step of your flow chart that makes you the most money, where's the step that costs you the most money. And usually the cost, the root source or root cause, is earlier in the flow chart. So if you're scanning, for example, and over trading choppy charts you shouldn't be trading, then that's going to cost you a lot in terms of added stops or unsuccessful trades. So make sure that you are using a simple flow chart. And another quick thing is to put other motivating elements near where you trade. Maybe you have family photos or goals or something related to a hobby. Like, let's say you want to, like, for example, I like to golf. So let's say I've got a tear out from one of the golf magazines of the latest club set that I want to get. Or what I like to do is I will put the course. Maybe if I want to go to Mauna Kea or Pebble Beach or whatever, I got a tear out of a favorite golf course, and I will put that near my workstation. And the goal is to make enough in your trading profits to pay for that particular hobby or that goal or that objective. Don't put negative things like your mortgage note or whatever nearby. Put things that are optional fun goals. Okay, and that's an important distinction. So in your trading workstation, what's going to go here? Maybe, and declutter it. If you got a lot of papers and pencils and things that don't help you, clean it off and put something that motivates you. Another tip for confidence building is some kind of a trade reminder, whether it's a Post-it note, or I like using just shipping labels. The 1 by 3 inch shipping labels are good in a Sharpie marker, and those that tend to be very easy to use and work well. And put a reminder. For example, maximum stop is, say, $60, or take small stops. Was one I had on my monitors for many years back in the 90s. Make sure you've got small stops every time, or something like that, to remind you to keep your cost of not trading well as minimal as possible. And then also scale out with winning trades might be another reminder. Now in the full course, I'll go through a number of different things to, specific phrases that I've used to great effect over the years and so forth. But just a quick, preview, that's one thing you might want to start doing as well. Now let's look at overcoming hesitation. And for example, let's say you are looking for a swing trading breakout, and you're looking for, let's say you're trying to do a pivot trade. The chart O looks likely because it's bounced off a major moving average. We've got a cup pattern. This is a bearish cup, is now new resistance, kind of bearish upper shadow. I will see if it breaks over 46, say 46.3. Well, what are the types of setups that work out best for you? And one of the things we want to look at, for example, day trades, like I was calling for my live room members today, and we nailed it, was this BMW, a nice gap up continuation play. So I always look for these gap continuations. Print one of those out and have that as a visual anchor near your trading workstation. So for example, winning trade setup chart, do what I said. Just trust me on this. It's good. Print out a minor gap, a 2-day chart, continuation uptrend, like BMW today, something like that, where it's gaps and it continues to run on up into the stratosphere as that one did for us today. Have a few simple winning, your favorite trade setups, charts somewhere near your computer. And you can tell you want to turn your trading workstation into a success environment. You want to make it a place that builds and enhances your confidence as a trader, like a man cave, so to speak, where you got our, the wet bar and the cable TV and the big widescreen projection theater. Actually, I use projectors and screens, so I got a 9-foot screen for the home theater setup. And the point being, put things around your workstation that help enhance your trades, and don't make it stupid platitude stuff like those posters that have a word like go for the win or crap like that. What you need is specific strategies that work. So what you need is charts of winning trades to remind you. So it kind of bangs it into your head every time. Hey, that's the kind of chart to go for. These are the money charts. Okay. Something choppy and in the middle range, not so much. And the contrast, the learning and the anchoring visually comes from the contrast. Okay, so I have at least a few winning trade setup visual reminder charts near your computer. And what that does is build your confidence, because now you know what kind of charts tend to work out best, and hopefully that will give you discipline too. It's a great tool for building discipline as a trader, is to have things, like the best of the charts out there, just a couple of them. Keep it simple. Don't overdo it. Don't get too detailed, or else you won't take action. But have a couple of those in your hip pocket, on a window, or not on a window, on a wall near a window. Looking at I got so many windows here. And look for a spot here on the wall, but find some place to put that near your window. Another thing for trading confidence, and one of the secrets to my success, and one of the reasons why I'm able to make thousands of trades, is I use in my IB account, I will use, these are all in one day. I was not clicking in and out of these all day. A lot of these were overnight holds that I sold into strength and banked a profit on the day. But one of the things you want to do is use buy stop limit orders, right? And you click on vid and put in your buy stop order. I don't have a buy stop limit example here. These are all, live, or they were live at the time of the screen cap. But what you do is put in a series of buy stop limit orders to scale into winning trades, okay, to add to winners, and keep real tight stops on anything that's not working out, right? So that the cost of being wrong is outweighed by the cost of being right. And one of the things that I have found does a huge, I remember back to my 90s, days of day trader, when I'm on the edge of my chair and finger on the mouse button, waiting till the opening bell to see what's running, and logging into some Merc chat room and see what the guys are saying and the rest of it. That's not how to do it. What you want to do is make sure that you have a series of buy stop orders placed before the market open. Or if you're a swing trader, maybe each weekend or every couple of days you update that in your portfolio. Anyway, use automatic buy stop orders, and that overcomes a lot of the confidence related issues, because you're not worried about pulling the trigger or pushing the button on the mouse live in front of the markets for a day trade. For a swing trader, what I want you to do is start using smaller size. Okay, trade small size initially. So for a swing trade, that might only be 20 shares or 10 shares or 50 shares. It might be a small size. Or for Forex traders, maybe be a single, standard, or a mini or micro lot. Or mini traders, single contracts, or two contracts. They keep it real small in terms of the size you're trading initially. That's one of the single best confidence boosters, is if you're not worried about it because you're trading such small size, you're going to be much more confident, because even if it goes against you a point or two, it's only cost you, 20 or 50 bucks. It's not going to be a $600, hosed up trade that costs you that big piece of change that you got to go explain to the wife as oh honey, I took a $600 stop. You do that a couple of times and you see a upset look. And you all know what I'm talking about, right? You have to explain your stops to your significant other. Typically what guys do is we just kind of keep that information to ourselves, because we don't want to cause a big ruckus with the other half. But, it's much better place, just speaking from experience, to be able to holler down the stairs, hey, honey, I just made another $600. And she's, oh, good job. Yeah. That's much more fun place to be as a trader than concealing losses. And, those are games we play with ourselves as traders. One of the ways to avoid getting in that predicament in the first place is to start off small size trades and then scale up. I was watching some other educators' video, and they're talking about, making these $50,000 trades and all that. I don't know about y'all, but I can't relate to that. Best I do in my trades, I think the best documented one I have is around $3,500. So I like to trade small, but I like to shoot for more consistency and keep my risk real tiny. So when I'm wrong, to me that $40 is kind of a bigger stop than I would like, right? I like to keep things real small. So that's still a good way to be a defensive trader. So even if you screw up, I had more trades than you won, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, right? That's the right way to trade. I use Interactive Brokers. TradeStation's also cheap too. Check around the brokers, but you can get your commissions to $1 or so, and look for that as a way to potentially do better as a trader, so that you're more confident, because you're only trading say 15 or 30 or 20 or up to 100 or 200 shares or whatever, but it's relatively small ball trading. Okay, that's one of the things that helps overcome hesitation is go lighter. Go lighter on your size. You don't have to go into the Wall Street casino and go to the VIP table with the $5,000 ante and $1,000 blinds or whatever. You can go in small and work your way up over time. Another thing that I want you to start working on, and a tip that I would share with you, is to overcome hesitation by regaining or building a sense of control over how you trade. And the way we do that is with what I call reaction plans. I don't have time to cover those tonight. I'll go over that in the premium events. But one of the things that I'll just give you the quick tip or the Cliff Notes, the Reader's Digest version. As traders, how many of you would agree with the statement that frequently we feel as though we're not over control of the markets? Okay, show of hands. How many of you agree that we're not in control of the markets? Hopefully all the hands go up, right? Kind of like I used to live near beaches, and the ocean is a very powerful thing. You can either go with it or you can drown. Anyway, so you don't want to drown. So the markets are stronger than you and I, unless we've got billion-dollar hedge funds, which most of us don't have sitting around. So we are kind of the tugboat on the front end of a big cruise ship, and what we do have control over is our reaction to what's going on and our reaction to trades gone wrong. For example, I'm in FAZ long. As I've been telling you, I've been building a long trade in FAZ because the markets have been selling down, right? But doesn't look so good. Things aren't so good in paradise. So we are at or near a 2-day low, right? So I'm starting to scale out. I will be all out of my inverse ETFs, for example, if we get, say, 30 cents under the previous day's low. So my reaction plan, or my trailing tight stops, and again, building a winning trade, I want to lock in some modest gain on that trade. I will get out, say, under 33.30, 33.40 on an FAZ long that I built because that's the appropriate reaction plan to a trade that, so far it's done well, at least for a few days here, but because I have a bearish engulfing and it's starting to sell down, I want to get out before the market takes back my profits. So I want to get out sooner rather than later, right? So I use a reaction plan, and I can always get back in if the market capitulates and sells down. I can always rebuild a position over 36.5 or so. So just to tell you an example of, from a real trader, that's in the real trades I'm in, that's one of the things that I like to do is have a reaction plan, because the market's almost never going to do what you expect it to do. I did call the exact top of the market on the 21st with my equities article, so that was good. It wasn't luck. It was pretty much skill because the narrowing whole real bodies of the candles. But didn't have a shooting star, but running out of steam and good time to get out. You want to have reaction planning. And part of that's not just setting stops, but also your mental control over how you trade. And to exert that level of control as a professional trader does requires a much tighter level of not only discipline and a little bit of planning, but much more an if-then conditional approach. That's why I like flowcharts, kind of diamond points. If this thing happens, so for example, I illustrated for you with my FAZ trade. If we lose the previous day's low by 20 or 30 cents, then I will get out of an open swing trade, right? And so I've got if-then conditional set up in my trading accounts, and that's why I like to trade with confidence myself. I don't sweat it. I trade fearlessly because I'm not out there, doing $200,000 trades and risking a lot. I'm starting off small and then using scaling, or as my colleague Van Tharp would call position sizing, to build into a trade. So make sure you know what you're doing and you're not trading inside ranges but instead at new highs or new lows. Now let's do a new strategy, or another thing that I wanted to cover for y'all, and that's what I call, we've got 2 more sets of techniques to cover, so let's go through it. One is what I call inner game dialogue, and here's how to use it. First of all, create a personal, this is kind of like in the rah-rah thing, but you do need to have this. It does help. Have a personal success phrase, whether it's like way to go or yes or got it or nailed it or ka-ching or booyah or whatever it is, some kind of a success phrase, a auditory anchor. I am a couple of degrees in psychology. I like NLP. It's what Tony Robbins and others teach. He calls it neurosociative condition, NAC. Anyway, what do you say every time you make a winning trade? And it should be something a little more amplified. Okay, amplify your success phrases. Don't just go, yeah, okay, made some money. Next. The more experience you get, the more you kind of get like that. It's like, hey, the next to 1,000 trades, so what? Okay, I made some money in that one, that's good. What's next? But have a little more game in your, in your step. Have a little more emphasis. Also, what do you say when you lose? Make sure you're keeping it constructive. So, for example, when I have a losing trade, it's often because either false breakout or a choppy market condition that I say entered when it looks like the market was strong, but then it immediately started to slow down once I got in the trade, and that happens frequently. Well, one of the things you do is say, okay, I got in because it had a new breakout high. It looked like a good, strong, high-volume breakout at the time of the entry, so I pulled the trigger on it. It didn't work out, but the lesson learned is at least I kept my stops really tight, and I have a re-entry trigger on new highs. And so your losing shouldn't be a big, epic journey of self-defeat. It should be, okay, I made some wins. I made some stops, so what? I made more wins than, well, in this case, it's more stops than wins. But overall, and look at some of these others in these examples, again, still itty-bitty trades. That's one way to build your confidence. I can't overestimate that enough for you guys. Is if you are having losing days and not posting decent wins of at least, $300, $400, $500 a day net, at least scale down, dial down the size so that you're down at, under a couple hundred shares. These are the share size in these real money trades I was making. And even if, that means you have to do a lot more work to make your a few $100, it's not like a single trade. But by the way, it's a big dangerous fallacy out there that I've seen a couple of vendors do where they make, one holy grail trade that made, $50,000 or one holy grail trade that made $8,000. That's not how you and I are supposed to trade, and that's not how they really trade either. A lot of that stuff is phony. Ask for Schedule Ds from their tax returns to verify that what I'm saying is correct. Most of those guys are not honest. So, make sure that you're learning from a real trader, but also make sure that, as you're going through your trades, you set up a lighter rack of trades. And again, this is a perfect example of scaling or position sizing. All these little itty-bitty wins, my 30% rule, you could still make money net, potentially, only being right. These are winning trades. These are all losing trades as long as you scale into, and this is only a 100-share trade. It's not like it's a big trade. I made a few $100 on it. That wiped out the cost of being wrong on all these and bought me the chance to get right on it and its brethren that produced a winning day for me net. So that's one thing from a scaling standpoint that really builds confidence. And you play a lot of small ball trades, right? That's really important. It's critical to success is that, and if you are making some decent wins and you're up in the money and market values a few thousand per trade, this is when I bet 20 grand against Wall Street in some real trades earlier in the short ETFs, nailed it. Well, one of the things you want to do is make sure that you are setting up a success construct or a kind of what I call a wealth dialogue to coach yourself toward trading success based on your own actual success or at least your potential success. What are some of the things you want to tell yourself to build a more positive environment? And again, part of that too is, avoiding toxic people and situations and don't obsess over the evening news. It's kind of the bad news as one colleague would call it. You want to, surround yourself with a coaching dialogue that serves you well. And there's plenty of people out there, that aren't in the trading industry that are very good at that, whether it's like my colleague Brian Tracy or guys like Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn or some others that build some of that stuff into what you do as a trader and look for crossovers, look for linkages, or Napoleon Hill or Clem Stone or any of the Orson Swett Martin, any of the early improvement people. Make sure you're building that. Now, so an example of that wealth dialogue is not if you're going to win, but kind of an assumptive close, to use a sales metaphor, is how much money am I going to make today in my trades, or at least how much am I not going to lose more than? You've got a pain threshold. I'm not going to lose more than, say, $150 maximum no matter what I do today. But the main focus, the shift that to how much money am I going to make today in my trades? That's what I'm always looking at. Now, I don't have this kind of look on my face. I'm kind of like, yeah, show me the next trade. Yeah, much more nonchalant, but you get the picture. I'm kind of visually anchor for you a more success framework is how much money are you going to make today in your trades, right? And again, that all comes down to strategies that work. Now let's take a look at actions. We're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. Remember, I do have the premium event series coming up, and it's a real bargain, okay? It's half price even, so you'll be happy with that. We'll go into depth into each of these strategies, but I'm giving you good content, good solid content here so you can learn, whether or not you continue with me. Most of you will once you see the price, but I know you will, and I thank you for that but in advance. But let's go ahead and take a look at some other strategies. Actions that work. Everyone has rituals or habits or, I don't know about superstitious things. Personally, I like old silver. I collect old silver coins from the Elizabethan era, back in the in Old English silver and silver altos and horns and all that. Anyway, but you have your ritual, your process, your success habits, and that boils down to scanning what's worth trading, where are you going to enter it, how do you scale into winning trades and manage risk with tight stops, and how do you manage your exits, again, with tight stops when you're wrong, and scale in on the ones that work out. You want to develop, as a trader, to build confidence, a series of rituals or success habits that you get into each morning. For example, I take a shower, I have hot, strong black coffee, and a bagel with some low-fat butter, and a healthy bagel now to stay healthy. Anyway, I do those things to wake me up and put some carbs in my body. From a success habits trading standpoint, one of the things I'm looking for, I'm always scanning through. My live room members will attest to how well I do this. I'm scanning through the biggest movers, the gainers, and the loss instruments from the previous day. We nailed the bounce and the short calls in PAY today, by the way. But point being, we look for the strongest of the instruments, and where are they moving, and how are they moving? And that's something we do as a ritual before the market opens. We also look at the spiders and the emini chart. And in fact, we look at the 1 minute. I look at the professional 1 minute tick chart before the opening bell. And what we're looking at is directional bias on the open. And what's the 1 minute opening candle doing in the ES? And that gives me a directional inflection point or bias, long or short, that leads us into the open. And which way is it going to move? When does it chop? When do we stand clear? When does it resume its uptrend? Anyway, those are some of the rituals that you do as a professional trader, and I would encourage you to start doing those if you're not already. You're taking a look at your futures, you're looking at pre-market gappers, you're looking at previous wide range plays, and you're looking at where the best odds trades are. For our Forex traders, I'm always looking at currency correlations and where the best moves have been. So have a process is my point. Have success habits of things you do to get in gear or in state, to use an NLP phrase, in state for success as a trader. And how do you make that into a ritual or process? I like to document that with a mind map or a flow chart, something that maps out my process from start to finish. And tens of thousands of people have downloaded that flow chart since I first published it back in 2000. Others have tried to copy it unsuccessfully. Anyway, that's something you want to start doing as well. Second, in terms of actions that work, I want you to change how you approach your trading in an instant, right? What are some of the transformational actions or improvements, whether it's simple things like change your posture. Right now, you may be slumped over. Sit up for just a second and take a deep breath. Humor me. Wherever you are in the world, we got all these traders from all these countries around the world. Sit up straight for a second, take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, hold it, let it go. Okay? Now, isn't that refreshing and free? Okay, so make sure you're doing little things like that all add up to a professional's game. You'd be, if you saw the floor traders, the guys I worked with, you would see them, they have their own little rituals. It's really amazing. If you ever get the chance to go to one of the Wall Street professional firms or prop shop, you'll see the guys all have their little rituals of things they do before the start of the trading day. And these guys are often trading 6, 7, 8-figure accounts. Even if you're not trading a, 6-figure account or 7-figure account, at least have some kind of a ritual or process and use things that transformative actions that help put you in state for success. Also figure out what you expect. For example, today our pre-market indicator was down, so I told traders we'd have relatively choppy as a head and shoulders breakdown in the NAS 100 pre-market indicator before the opening bell. And again, I teach traders how to do that in the live room. Well, I told my traders of the 5 different market opens, that would be likely to be a weak choppy down and may well recover. And I was right. That's exactly what happened subsequently to that in the market. So have those kind of rituals, technical rituals. I don't mean like woo-woo superstition crap. That doesn't really serve you well unless it puts you in a mental state of success. But have a technical set of things that you do each morning, like checking the futures, checking the gaps, the breadth and depth of the gaps and the rest of it, and what you expect out of that day based on the pre-market technicals, or for a swing trade, the daily candlestick charts and where are we in relationship to previous highs, pivots off of moving average lines like we saw today, what are we seeing in the market, and how to get it. And finally, one of the things to look at is what I call focus on the money-getting action. actions, not just the avoiding risk because you're too scared to put on a trade, analysis, paralysis, and all the rest of it. Just get out there and trade, guys. I mean, by guys, I mean ladies and gentlemen. You know, everybody out there, you know, I mean, you don't have to be a manic trader and be all over the place firing off lots and lots of trades, though that helps because you're diversified. You know, you don't sweat the small stuff. When you do make a handful of wins, it all adds up. You know, and you know, that's the kind of thing you're shooting for as a trader. Is, see, like for example, here I didn't know which of these. How many trades was this? 3, 6, 9, 12. Out of these 12 trades, there's one that made the most money, even on 90 shares. But that was $300 in the money. I had a few stops and a few modest wins, a few at 40, 50 bucks. That added a couple $100 to the kitty, right? And so I made 529 net in this day. I didn't know ahead of time, though, which of these was going to be the one that worked out. So that's why you want to diversify and be trading a handful of stuff when you're trading. And that's one of the things that builds confidence as well. So that's one of the money-getting actions that I teach you in the upcoming premium series, and we go into more detail on how to do that. This is just what to do. I'm telling you guys what to do. A lot of the how-to details, I don't have time because I'm out of time right now. So remember, strategy, strengths, and action. We're going to learn how to do that. And one of the things I want you to focus on is the core needs to be successful strategies. That needs to be completely divorced from dependency on anyone. If you're like me, you know, I like to go to Sears and get my Craftsman tools and do it myself, even though, you know, gosh knows I could afford to hire handymen, and occasionally I have, and then maids and all that, but I prefer to do stuff myself. It's just some satisfaction doing things yourself. So price action-based candlestick and Western technical trading is the right way to do it with appropriate risk management, and make sure that your strategy is solid and it's not dependent on some special magic software indicator program that doesn't work consistently. Instead, learn how to trade price action from a professional. Capitalize on what you're already good at. Okay, maybe you're good at getting out of a trade if it's starting to go against you. That's often a first strength area, by the way, that I coach traders in, is how to stop the bleeding, how to put a bandage on a trade gone wrong. That's the first skill to get right as a trader, by the way. That will build confidence if you're able to consistently keep your stops itty-bitty, right? Itty-bitty, itty-bitty stops. That's what you do. Okay, you don't take these $1,000 stops in these Hail Mary pass trades trying to swing for the fences. That's how to blow up your trading account. It's in both of our shared interests for me to keep you guys alive and in the game and hopefully doing well as traders for as many years moving forward as possible. So I'm going to give you strategies that actually have the potential to work. So build on your strengths as a trader, like getting out fast is good, then getting in and scaling in appropriately and scanning for those entries. Those are some of the things that will all build confidence, and then that gets deployed into taking action more consistently and more carefully as a trader. So your trading plan is as follows. You know, I gave you a lot of quick tips here. What changes in taking action for trades will you test first? Which techniques will you test? Which strategies work best? And how do you develop an approach for trading more confidently? Let me quickly go through those to summarize. Building confidence. You want to have at least a couple of what, and I didn't have a chance to mention this, process goal is not an end point goal. An end goal, again in companies too, our end point goals would be our quarterly financials. The processes are all the things we do internally in you know, engineering and production and you know, all the rest of the parts of the business, supplier quality and all that to get the product out the door. What are the in-process goals, the earlier things that you can start paying attention to, like the percentage of time you keep tight stops? You should be tracking that. And it should be 100% is the goal, but you may not be there yet. But by tight stops, it's, you know, under whatever dollar figure you set as a maximum stop. A wall of winning trades, the P&Ls that you post out just to, and don't beat yourself up with your stops. I want you to anchor on success. So put up P&Ls of, you know, at least a recent month or two worth of winning trades you made so that you can see it is possible. And that opens up enormous possibilities. I'll go into more detail on how to do that in the specific structure. And there is a mechanic, how to say, very specific structure of what to put in the wall and how to manage the workflow, and I will cover that in the premium event series. Also, you know, keep a dollar stop cost that's fixed. Visual success cues. Three winning trade recent chart examples in addition to the P&Ls. Put at least a few winning trade charts up there on the wall. That'll build your confidence. Create a very simple top-down flow chart that maps out your process, and we'll go into some detail into how to do that and identify you know, things to improve and how to improve them in your trades, and we'll do that as a team. But that's one thing to look at as well. and also put other motivating things, positive work environment for yourself. So what goes there, especially a specific trade reminder, that will deploy into giving you better confidence. In terms of overcoming hesitation to avoid pulling the trigger, well, have at least a few visual anchors, like the minor gap continuation VMW chart I shared with you. Have a few winning trade setups as examples near your play. Again, those preferably those are examples of actual trades you made. But even if you didn't, at least go find a few examples of trade setups that work out and make those your foundation or your basis for what you do to build confidence to technically enter your trades correctly. Use a series of automated buy stop orders, or buy stop limit orders is what I use in my Fidelity account. So I'm not buying a big gap up. I limit the buy stop entry 30 cents or so above the 2-day high. But anyway, use automated orders to help you avoid indecision. Because again, if it's automatic, that's how I get on my trades. 90% of my trades are, almost all of them, over 90% of my trades are all automated because I put in the buy stop order ahead of time. And what that does for you is it automatically fills you. Just do it on small size so that you're not sweating it. So you're not getting a buy stop order in on 1,000 shares, but instead you buy stop order on 20 shares or 30 or 50 shares or something small, and that automatically kind of overcomes confidence because the machine enters it for you. And so that's a good tool when used properly. And I'll show you how to do that properly in the upcoming premium series. Also, regain and build a sense of control using reaction plans. And I gave you an example of real trades in FAZ. I'm going to share with you how to develop other reaction planning or contingency planning that helps build your confidence, because you kind of have a playbook, kind of the cheat sheet on what to do when trades go right, as well as when trades go sideways and you're not sure what to do, and when trades go wrong. Okay, and we want to focus on the indecisive areas because that's where most people need help. So we're going to look at that in the upcoming premium event series as well. Intergame dialogue. Success phrase. On the count of 3, everybody go, at least you've all heard this, hopefully, booyah, 1, 2, 3. I think that's from the Marines, right, or hooyah. Anyway, so, or yes, or way to go, or something. Again, I'm not a big fan of cheerleading and all that kind of BS. I'm more into the technicals and the money. I trade for money. But at least if you have something, kind of pat yourself on the back when you make a winning trade, that helps. And don't beat yourself up when you lose. When you do take a loss, figure out what you're going to do and say out loud these things. Don't just say it to yourself. I mean, unless you're at a public place, then you might want to keep it to yourself. But when possible, have some audio, success phrase that you say, or some wave clip that maybe applause or something you click on your computer, whatever, that helps you build a positive expectancy in a state for success. A wealth dialogue to coach yourself. So, how much am I going to make today? Not am I going to make any good trades? Am I going to screw up again and lose money and have to explain it to the wife? When you're a losing trader, and I remember those, when I was a red trader back in the 90s, in the early days, before you turn into a scratch or a break-even trader and then you start hopefully making money as a trader, you want to start changing your thinking about that. So some kind of positive talk, and then rituals and success habits. And again, I like tying this to technicals and the money flow, not just the psychology stuff, because that's too nebulous for most people to take action on. Myself included. It's a lot easier for me to understand what I'm talking about when I say, okay, your goal is out of your 12 trades, you're going to have one that makes a nice win, a few scratch or small stops, and a few modest wins, and the goal is to make it all add up. And that's how you do that. That makes a lot more sense to me as a trader, and see actual size of real trades I made, and what time of day I sold those, and the prices, and all that kind of stuff is a lot better than the generic. And make sure that you focus then on the money-getting actions and not just avoiding paralysis. So, you're not alone. I ran a little bit over time. Tried to keep it to 40 minutes, but there's so much to share, and I try to compress, 15 years of experience into 40 minutes when it comes to confidence. What I've got coming up for you is a 2-webinar premium series, and what you're really going to like is the price. I've priced it, a lowball price, just down at $97. So that's the cheapest I've offered for a 2-webinar series ever for one of my own series, at least in the last 5 years. So the reason that I'm pricing it this low is not because I'm going to try and upsell something at the end like my competitors do. I will not do that. You get complete content like you got today, right? What I'm going to do is give you complete access to both of these, and it's a 2-event trading confidence trading webinar series. Now, I was in this marketer's webinar today. A really nice guy, he was asking, it was over $5,000 for like a 7-week coaching program. I'm not charging thousands of dollars, or like my competitors, I'm not even charging $1,000 or $2,000. This is only 97 bucks. So there's no strings attached, and there's not going to be anything else offered for sale during these. That's my clean webinar professional promise to you, and I make it up on volume. You know, if I get 120, 150 guys register, I'm making 12 or 15 grand for doing this work. So out of all the hours of work it took me to put together the site, it makes it worthwhile for me. So I don't need to do that upselling stuff. I give you high value content with a huge audience, and that's where it works out. So anyway, go ahead and register now. It's open through the 12th. The first of the 2 premium events starts on the 13th. That's a week from tonight, and these will be recorded in high-resolution video. So go ahead and register at tradingconfidence.com/now. I'll also make that the main website for tradingconfidence.com later tonight, so it'll be there as well. But anyway, it's coming up the 13th and the 20th. It's a real bargain. It's the cheapest I've offered any of my webinars for in at least a few years, and this is a really good one. What I like about this is I'm going to give you the mechanics of exactly what to do to help you pull the trigger, in addition to all the different, the bullet points and things I ran over quickly tonight for you. We're going to look at additional strategies for action steps for pulling the trigger, gaining confidence, overcoming obstacles, again, using a lot of the implementation of how to do a lot of what we've covered throughout tonight's event as well. So a lot to cover, and you got my word. As a real trader, I'm going to give you everything that I do to build confidence in my trades, and it's only 97 bucks, and that's a real stone cold bargain. So go ahead and register now, and I will see you guys on the other side. I will now open it up for Q&A, and that's a real bargain. But I'll make it up on volume, so I'm not sweating it. Normally I charge the $225 with a regular rate of $397 and all that, but this one, it's 2 1-hour events, and I'll stick around for up to a full hour after each one to answer questions, and it's only 97 bucks, and nothing else will be offered for sale. You have my word on it. So it's not going to be an upsell into, oh, by the way, to make it all easy for you, buy my $1,000 software program with the magic super duper indicator. It's what stupid lame competitors do. I'm a professional trainer and trader, and I like to give you guys high-value content. So thank you for your honoring me with all the 150-plus comments here. I appreciate that. I want all of you, or at least most of you, to go ahead and register. That's a good bargain. You have my word on it. It's only 97 bucks. I mean, you can buy with the PayPal or with the one shopping cart. It'll take you right over here for the 97, or if you use the PayPal link, just click on PayPal, and that will be yours. So you get 2 hours of training with me, a top industry professional who proves he's a real trader. I'm well aware this could be priced up at $300 to $500, but I'm making it a bargain for you guys, especially to like trader-friendly summer pricing for all of you who are new to working with me. This is a really good way to get on board. You've seen my enthusiasm and my own confidence and my own proof that I really trade, and I hope I've built and inspired confidence in you and given you some good tactics to start the ball rolling and give you some things you can start doing immediately to make improvements in your own trades as well. Thanks for being here.